Hello artists, how are you today? Stephanie Aune coming to you from the banks of the Trinity River here near Willow Creek, California. Oz and I welcome you to the studio and we are very happy you are here with us today. Look what it is! It's the circus book! I know, I actually pulled this out and did this layout before Christmas, so this video was filmed a while back and I love how this has turned out. This is using a Gesso transfers. So on this page, I used clear Gesso. Now with this image, I had to reverse it on my computer before I printed it out on my laser printer. Now, when you reverse it and then you pull off the backing, of course, the white backing, you get the correct image so that you can read it. I wanted this old poster feel. You can see all of the base layer underneath, and I think it turned out really interesting. And on this side, you will see me put layers and layers and layers down of strips of paper. And what I wanted to do was kind of give it that crumbling wall feel. And then this image was done with a white Gesso lights. Not reading correctly. Let's see if we can get that to focus in. There we go. I did it with a white Gesso transfer. And the reason for that is clear will give you see-through, so you can see what's behind it. And then the white, I wanted this image to be seen, and I'm just kind of adjusting the light there. As you can see, like this part didn't stay down, but that's super cool because it brought back this background, which I really wanted it to feel like old circus posters and kind of rotting wall behind it, just to give it an old feel. So then we have this page and this page, our cabinet of curiosities, and our knife thrower page, Ticketmaster. All of these are under the circus book. This is the the 6-tent flip and fold. It's a very elaborate layout. We have this one left to do, and then finishing touches, and then our book is finished. Here is our Exquisite Corpse page layout, and then of course our memories of childhood. And I just love this book. I love this book. I just, really had to set it aside for a little while. I need to finish it up. I've got one layout left, and then we've got final touches, and then she's done. And she'll be all done. I love how my caboose and engine turned out. Pretty awesome, huh? Again, if you want to see how any of this book was put together, this is all on YouTube, free content, under the Circus Book series. This is all about pushing construction and being innovative and really trying to make something new and interesting, and I think I accomplished that in spades. So yeah, I just need to finish up that last page and then go through and do my final touch-ups. And then she'll be done. Pretty amazing accomplishment. Please join me over on Patreon if you are able to support the channel. Please join us over at the Messy Hand Band of Artists page. If you can use the Amazon and Arteza links, they do give me a small commission, and that is greatly, greatly appreciated. It is huge. And of course, if you can like, comment, share, and subscribe, I would absolutely 100% appreciate it. Okay, guys, I hope you have a great day, and Ozzy says hello, and we will chat with you soon. Just to let you know again, this video was filmed before Christmas, so we'll probably won't do a ton of talking unless I decide to do a voiceover. Okay, love you guys. Bye. Hi, guys. Well, today we are working with Gesso transfers. Now, that is clear Gesso on that side, and then to let you know, I used white Gesso on the other side.
You put on a generous amount and spread it out and make it all smooth. We're really trying to make sure that we eliminate any air bubbles in there, and we're trying to get a very smooth and even thickness of coverage. If you notice there to the right, you'll see the image that I'm going to put onto this clear gesso. And that image has been printed off of my laser printer on regular standard copy paper. And I am setting it down where I want it to go. It is a reverse image. So I printed it out in the reverse so that I could have the circus poster come out correctly when I took off the backing of the paper. So here I'm definitely making sure that what I'm doing is I'm pushing out all the air bubbles. I'm trying to make sure that it is even coverage. And this will dry overnight before I even dare to touch it. If it doesn't dry overnight, your chances of having the image coming up are much greater. So just put it down and set it aside and work on something else. Now, the reason why I used the clear gesso on that side is that if you can see there on the right-hand side, the ephemera that I put down was really cool. And I wanted on the left-hand side of this for that poster to be somewhat transparent. So if you're going to do that, you need to use the clear gesso. It works out really well, as you'll be able to see here coming up. Or you probably saw it on the intro, for goodness sake. Okay, so now I'm going to move over to the right-hand side. I'm not going to touch that left-hand side anymore. I'm just going to let that be. I've taken out all the air bubbles. I've made sure that it had even coverage underneath of it. So on this side, I've put down a little bit of Mod Podge, and then I started to put on layers of paint. Layers of paper. And the reason for this is, if we remember in the Creating Your First Altered book series, I did kind of that crumbling wall effect. And I really wanted this page to have that feel. Just old and antique, like posters had been torn off of the wall. I wanted to have a really kind of gravelly feel to it. I wanted it to feel, again, if you look, this is a poster that I decided not to use on the left-hand side, and it is also printed in the reverse. So kind of the funny thing about that is I had to really sit and consider, it's like, okay, can I cover up that wording, or, do I need to do it as a transfer also? I just decided to put the image over that wording, but I thought the tiger was cool to come through, and again, trying to get that crumbling wall feeling to the page. I wanted it to feel old and antique, and I think that's what I was checking there, was to see the width of the lettering, because it is reverse. So since that lettering is reverse, I need to make sure that that lettering doesn't show, and by doing that I need to use the white gesso. So when you use white gesso, it covers up all of the lettering underneath. If you use clear gesso, then it shows through whatever is underneath. So this time I decided, since I didn't want to cover up all that stuff that I had underneath, that I was just going to put a layer of gesso on the back of the laser printed piece of copy paper. The image is of the circus train coming to town, and of course that should be the most fitting image for our book, the very beginning page. So I'm carefully placing that down. Now what you can see here is that that image is already becoming kind of transparent, and that's kind of how you know that these gesso transfers are working. Now when I take that clear gesso and I push it out on the sides, it's giving that background kind of a whitewashed feel. That's what I wanted it to do. I kind of wanted to tone down those other colors. I wanted it to make everything blend and feel old and kind of crumbly, which is why I took the white gesso over to the other side also, to give it some continuity. Now what you don't want to do is you do not want to put you want to avoid putting gesso on the backs of those images. It makes it much harder for the paper to come up if there is gesso on the back of the images. Again, that is laser jet ink on just regular standard copy paper. Images that I found on the internet. So yeah, all right. So here's the next day, and we just squirt a little bit of water on there. It's very hard sometimes to wait until the next day because you really want to start peeling that backing off. But if you give it time to dry, look at what happens. It's just truly, truly amazing. I loved this. I love this process, and I'm using it quite a bit these days. Anytime that I'm using an image, for the most part, I'm doing it as a transfer. And the reason why is I feel like it really does take that image out of what it was originally intended for, and it gives it a sense of art to it, and I really do like that. So here the magic is happening, slowly peeling up. All you do is you squirt some water down onto the paper, and as you can see, I kind of primed the left hand side there also, and it's kind of doing that see-through thing. It takes a little bit of time, but not very long, and it's really a very tactile way to work with your art. As you can see right there, I kind of pulled up that center spot near the elephant's head, and I think what happened there is that was most likely some sort of bubble, and the gesso kind of came up with the backing, or it might have rubbed too hard. Sometimes you rub too hard and things come up with the image. Just kind of finishing up that page or that image. It just turned out so great. And then we'll come over it here in a little bit with our Arteza water brush. Real brush pens is what they're called. And that's what we use to color these gesso transfers. Here I'm going in on the other side. I probably could have fast forwarded you through this part, but it's good for you to see that it does take a little bit of time to get all of that backing off. I've sped it up 3.5 times, I think, so it's 350% as I'm working on this image. I really love this poster that I chose. The blue background really did give it a vividness. All right, here I've got all of the backing off, and you can see there on the left hand side, you can see the type coming through. I mean, how awesome is that? And then on the right hand side, we're starting to color all of that. So the image itself is not see-through. That's the difference between using clear and white gesso. That's why we have both in our toolbox. I think it's really, they're great tools, and you'll use them often if you have them. Now here what I'm doing is I'm taking the Arteza water brush, real brush pens. They're like a watercolor pen. And, if you have other watercolor pens, use them. Use it, whatever works. The thing I like about this is it does give you a real light, the ability to make light color changes, and gives you kind of a faded look. The brown there has a very walnut stain look, or let's see, the StazOn would be the timber brown. So, just the coloring automatically gives you kind of this vintage feel to it. Now, when you put these real brush pens over the top of the white gesso, they do change in color somewhat. They're going to kind of fade out and whitewash, which I like. So you just kind of have to test a little bit first. So what I do is I put down the color, I smear it, I add a little bit of water to it if I need to fuzz it out or make it less intense. And I'm slowly building up color. So you'll see I started with the brown, and there I was at orange. and now I'm going into yellow. So I'm slowly building color. A lot of times I'll start with the highlights and go kind of reverse of that. Here I am just bringing in the yellow into the image. It's kind of the first color, other than that brown color. I still wasn't sure at this point how much I wanted to color of that image, but it was just working out so cool that I decided to proceed with that. You know, it's a great technique and a really wonderful way to transform the image instead of just cutting it out and pasting it down. We're transforming it, we're making it our own, we're making it into something beautiful that we can feel really proud of in our books. So let's see, here I'm doing a little bit of edging. That's kind of a gray tone, and a lot of times I'll use the Arteza real brush pens in like this gray. I'll use this in place of Stabilo. Sometimes Stabilo can get really muddy feeling. When you use the watercolor pens, it gives it's more transparent. Sometimes the Stabilo can feel a little bit kind of dirty feeling. Where you can see here, it's a crisp color. It's still a gray color, but it's still crisp. You're not smudging your whole piece of artwork, which is why I really have stopped using the Stabilo so much and just really taking advantage of the brush pens. I cannot see what I'm working on right there. What am I working on? I'm grabbing some water. I'm just kind of blending the colors a little bit. Again, they're watercolors, so there is blendability to them, unless you set them with something that would be like a you can set these with a varnish or something along that line. I haven't had any problems with them fading or with them moving after I've put them down, unless you really purposely put a lot of water over them. Here I'm coming in with our Archival Inks. These are Ranger, I think they're not the Tim Holtz ones, but they are Ranger products still. Use whatever archival ink that you have. What I'm doing with the archival ink, and the reason why I choose that here, is that it's a permanent ink. It's not going to wear off on your fingers, and I generally try to edge my pieces of artwork, my layouts, I try to edge with archival permanent ink. It can be StazOn, whatever is not going to move on you. Wherever people will be putting their hands will be places that your ink will fade over time, and we do not want to lose all of that beautiful work. Now, I do come in with a couple different colors, and here's where I'm really blending all of those colors together. This is a green. You wouldn't think that green would work here well, but as you can see, it really does pull the page together. It gives it a really wonderful vintage feel. I probably use 5 or 6 different colors when I'm doing this, because I really like how they all work together. Well, that's it, guys. We're going to be done here soon. I hope you have a great day, and thank you so much for being here. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and add to playlists. Love you guys. Bye.